Hi, I'm Holly, and with my sister Heather, you're listening to Haunted Family Podcast, a weekly podcast about the paranormal, unsolved mysteries, and even some true crime.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I feel like we say that every week.
Well, we do most weeks when we can find the time to record.
We have, the flu has descended upon my house. So far, we have just one victim, and I'm fingers crossed that the rest of us all stay healthy. But considering that my nose is already starting to feel clogged, I'm fearful.
Yeah, I had it. It was bad. I don't recommend it for anybody. Well, I mean, not like anybody's actually going out of the way to get the flu.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a line of people going, flu, me next.
I don't know. All the people that as soon as they feel a little bit of sick, they rush off to um, the hospital to get tested for the flu.
Well, the problem is that with kids in school, or at least in our school system, the schools are so rabid about doctor's excuses. And so if you feel the slightest bit of anything, you need a fucking doctor's excuse in order to get them off your back.
And that is utterly ridiculous.
I know. I am right there with you. So
while we're doing this, I'm still on the internet trying to find that hotel that we stayed at when we went to Boston, so that we can avoid it in the future.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. I mean, did we die?
We did not die. So if anybody is around, the Boston area, probably up to like 20 miles out, and they know this like sketch motel that has their ice machine in a little wooden building they call the Ice House, let us know, because we stayed there and we want to avoid it in the future.
I swear to you, I thought that there was going to be a dead body in the ice room. I just knew for sure we were going to find a dead body,
but we didn't, and we refilled our coolers,
and it was all fine.
There was also this bar next door to it.
Yeah, I mean, because all good bars are beside a hotel.
Convenience.
Yeah, that way you're not driving drunk. Okay, I feel like Sophia. Picture it. Only instead of Sicily. So imagine you are engaged to a tall, blonde, good-looking guy who is a med student and seems to have everything going for him in life. Can you imagine it?
No, I really can't. But, I mean, I'm sure for some people it's...
Okay, I can't either because I've never had a thing for blondes. So I would be like, no thank you. But for some people who like that, imagine. Okay, imagine maybe he's not blonde. Maybe you're dating a successful, so you think, med student. And then suddenly you find out that he is absolutely, without a doubt, nothing that you thought he was. That's what our topic is today.
I think our topic also goes a little bit further.
You think?
Yeah. How many of our listeners, show of hands, unless you're driving, and then don't raise your hands.
Okay, so I see a couple.
Yeah. Have ever bought something on Craigslist, or sold something on Craigslist, or used Craigslist to find a little casual adult fun?
Okay, my hand is down because I've not done any of those things.
I have bought and sold on Craigslist, so my hand is up. And I'm always very cautious when I buy or sell on Craigslist. And our topic tonight is one of the reasons why.
Yeah, but you know what? Our victim was very careful.
Yes. Well, our victims. We've had more than one victim.
Oh, that's true. But the murder victim was actually very cautious. Okay. I'm sure that everybody has guessed it by now. Or you've read the title because
we do put the title out on
shows up in the download. Yeah. We do. Why do we do that? And then we make them guess. It's like they already know the answer and they're probably sitting there like, come on girls, get with it.
Oh my god, you girls are so dumb.
Well, never mind. So we are from Kentucky. And you know what, we can say that because nobody from Kentucky listens to us. And this is why. Anyway, yeah, so we're talking about the Craigslist killer. What? You don't know who the Craigslist killer is?
I think there might be some people out there who don't know who he is.
Okay, well, in April of 2009, there is a man named Philip Markoff.
He had a funny name.
And I know, it really did. He was a medical student at Boston University. And he was engaged and living with his fiancée, Megan. And her last name is widely known. But you know what? I'm not going to use it. Even though she may have changed it by now. Just because...
I think she's a victim in this too.
She is a victim. And I want her to have some peace. So, anyway, April 10th, 2009, Trisha Leffler, who's 29, and originally from Las Vegas, she would come to the Boston area and book appointments with for dates with locals or anybody, any businessman or whatever that's in the area. And so on this night, she was staying at the Weston Copley Place Hotel. And she had placed an ad on Craigslist. Well, Philip books the appointment using a burner phone. And I'm sure everybody knows what a burner phone is. It's just one of those cheap throwaway, like a track phone or something that you would get like at a gas station or Walmart or whatever. So he arranged the meeting, and then he gets there and he robs her at gunpoint, ties her up with like these zip tie, like
flexi cuffs. It's handcuffs that are made out of zip tie material. Very strong, so very durable.
So he zip ties her, gags her, robs her, and all of this is at gunpoint. She lives. 4 nights later, though, Julissa Brisman, 26, also had arranged a meeting with somebody on Craigslist. She was giving a massage. So, Julissa was very cautious. She had a middleman set up the appointments for her, and then she was to check in with this person so that the person knew that everything was well and that she was safe. And even with her being super cautious, it didn't end well. He tracks down her room number, which was on the 20th floor of the Marriott Copley Hotel. And so she is there waiting on him. He comes up to her room, and almost immediately, like there's no like really there's no wait time. He hits her in the head, shoots her 3 times, and there's kind of a struggle, and he literally just leaves her laying there in the door and then just leaves. I think in all total it took 14 minutes from the time he entered the hotel from the time he left the hotel. And this is, traveling up in the elevator to the 20th floor.
Yeah.
Now, what I think was neat about this case, though, is that, our murderer or our criminal used technology to gain access to his victims through Craigslist. But that's exactly what brought him down, was that same technology.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Because 2 days after Julissa Brisman was murdered, he strikes again.
Right.
But this woman, she was lucky.
This also didn't take place in Boston.
No, this took place in Warwick, Rhode Island, which honestly is not that far from Boston. I was pleasantly surprised at how close everything is up there.
I know. See, if anybody in the New England area is listening, we can travel from one end of our state to the other in the same amount of time that it would take us to travel from Connecticut to like Vermont.
Yeah. It takes me almost an hour and a half just to get to Holly's house. And I mean, in an hour and a half I could be in like 3 different states up there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Our next victim was Corinne Stout. And she was an exotic dancer offering her lap dancing services on Craigslist. And on April 16th, 2009, at the Holiday Inn Express, our perpetrator, Mr. Philip Markoff, funny name, attempted to rob her. But she was able to get away. And it was not long after that everything unraveled for him.
Yeah, like his crime.
It's
so crazy.
This was like a spree.
Because
very
his
short
crime spree from
when he started to finished.
To finish escalated so fast. And then it all just unraveled. Like, to me, that tells me what a disorganized criminal he was. Like, he was not, for somebody who is going to school to be a doctor, he was not concise and calculating, like, at all. I mean, he started out that way, like, you would think, like, how he tried to cover his tracks, which we'll get to in a second. But I don't know, like, everything else was chaotic.
Yeah, I mean, like, his attempted robbery took place on 4/16/09, and he was arrested for 20/09.
Yeah, 4/20. Julissa Brisman's friend, the one who she was calling to check in on, had the email address and the phone number that this man had called her from. Well, that's when they learned that the phone number was a burner phone. Like, you couldn't trace it. But the police were so... they had the foresight in this case to think, okay, well, he's using a burner phone. Did he by some chance use his real phone at some point while he was there? So they were able to track the IP address from the email that was forwarded to the police from Julius's friend, which, okay, going back to he covered his tracks, he set up an email address that was only used that one time to contact Julissa. And he only used a phone that was for that specific purpose. So he thought that he was covering his tracks, but he didn't realize that every time you send and receive anything, it comes from a certain address. Like your house has an address. Well, your computer system has an address.
Yeah.
And so he sent that email, but it still had the IP address attached to it. So, and then he made a second mistake by using his real cell phone in the vicinity of the hotel while he was also using the burner phone, because then they were able to scan pings and they traced it to his phone was cross-referenced to the IP address. That's a lot of crazy computer forensics right there.
Yeah.
So they start watching the location that Philip and his girlfriend, actually they're engaged, so Philip and his fiance are at. And he sees them leave. And they are, their apartment is in Quincy, which, if you are in the Boston area, you know that Quincy is super damn close to Boston. Actually, we left Boston, took an exit so that I could look for a bathroom, and boom, we were in Quincy.
And we stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts because, like, I've never seen so many Dunkin' Donuts in my life.
I know, we don't even have any here, but y'all, New England has Dunkin' Donuts. Like, if you need one, you could probably see a Dunkin' Donuts within walking distance to the next Dunkin' Donuts.
We have so much better. We have Krispy Kreme. They're hot and they're fresh.
And they're open all night.
And we have Jolly Pirate.
Yeah, I don't have a Jolly Pirate.
I have a Jolly Pirate. Well, I mean, Ashland has Jolly Pirate, and I'm in Ashland all the time.
So really, neither one of us have a Jolly Pirate.
Well, I mean, I'm in Ashland all the time, so...
So, one of the victims, who did not get murdered, was able to identify Philip as the person that attacked her. So, the police decided that, okay, he is in a car, he's going somewhere with a suitcase with his girlfriend, so we should act now before because they thought that he was fleeing.
In reality, he was just going to a casino to celebrate. But, I mean, cops had no way of knowing that.
Right. Because and this was part of his reasoning, is that he was addicted to gambling. So he had a really large gambling debt. And he was a med student. So
he had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of student loan debt.
And pressure and stress to be just perfect, because if you're not, people die. And I obviously have never attended med school, but my ex-husband's family, it seemed like everybody was doctors, so they all talked about how grueling those college years are. Anyway, so they pulled them over on I-95, and he was arrested and charged with the fatal shooting of Julissa Brisman and armed robbery and kidnapping of Leffler. This poor girl absolutely had no idea. She was completely clueless.
They were planning what everyone described was a fairy tale perfect wedding. They had a website set up to dedicated to it. She really thought that she was marrying her Prince Charming and they were going to live a perfect life.
Right, because she was getting ready to go to med school herself. So they were going to be two doctors with, their whole life ahead of them. And them being pulled over and her interview with police just completely like that just completely ruined her life. So he said not guilty, of course. Like, very, very few people actually say that they're guilty, even if they are. And they searched the apartment. And in the apartment, they found the handgun that was used.
The gun was actually hidden inside a hollowed out copy of Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a big, thick book. I mean, you could hide a lot of stuff in that book.
I mean, if I had a copy of it, I'd probably hide something in it. Because we all know I'm not going to read it.
I wouldn't either. But I don't know what I would hide in it. Okay, so he's in police custody, and they're looking at his apartment, and that's where they find the gun and some underwear that belonged to victims.
Like 16 pair of underwear hidden under the mattress of their bed.
Yeah, and poor Megan is there.
2 pair belong to victims. They belong to his first victim, Trisha, and his second victim, Jalissa. They also found... This is where they found...
He probably took longer to find underwear of hers than he did to actually kill her.
And the first victim actually said that when she was tied up, after he robbed her, he made it a point to pick up her underwear off the floor and stick it in his pocket. It was also at this time that they found the 60 sets of flexi cuffs and duct tape. But I mean, duct tape's not really... I mean, most houses have duct tape. But in context, it's suspicious.
Yeah. Actually, I have duct tape and zip ties, but I have never killed anybody.
I have duct tape and zip ties and all kinds of other things, and I won't say whether or not I've killed anybody. I've not killed anybody.
So that they check his apartment on the 22nd. The 23rd, he tries to commit suicide by hanging himself, and he doesn't succeed.
No. And then again on the... Let's see.
The 30th.
Then he tried to kill himself on the 30th when his girlfriend finally realized that... Because initially she was going to stand by him and she believed he was innocent. Yeah, on the 30th she broke up with him, and then he tried to kill himself again on August 14th, which was the day they were supposed to have gotten married.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess at this point we can tell him what actually happened to him.
Well, yeah, we can.
On August 15th, 2010,
which would have been the 1-year anniversary of their wedding.
1 year and 1 day after their after their wedding date, he fashioned a knife out of an ink pen and used that to cut the arteries in his ankles, legs, and neck. He took...
All the while
he dipped a piece of... he dipped his finger in blood and wrote Megan on the wall of his cell, very boldly.
Then probably as he was dying, because it was fainter, he wrote Pocket, which was a nickname that he had for her. To make sure that he really died, because he was not going to fail again, he shoved toilet paper down his throat and put a plastic bag over his head.
And
so not only was he bleeding out, but he was also suffocating.
He used gauze to secure the bag around his head. But he took it another step further, Because this guy was intent on dying this time. He then took his blankets and made sure that he was covered from head to toe. So that a guard looking into his room wouldn't notice that he was bleeding out.
I mean, that is a very determined man.
Very intense.
I mean, at least... Okay, this is very rude and off color, but I mean, at least he used his medical knowledge in the end.
I guess so.
So, the hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt was not for nothing, I guess.
Okay. Holly, I think I might have found the place we stayed at.
Oh, really? That's cool. Where was it at?
Best Stay in Plainville.
Oh, yeah, that does sound familiar.
I'm looking at it, and there is a yellowish-orange bar right next door to it. And I remember that was the color of the bar.
Yeah.
It does not look nearly as creepy in daylight in these pictures. And, we were also tired, so...
That's true. So, this is, I don't know, it just struck me as weird with this case that, the time between robbing the first victim and murdering the second victim, do you know what he did during that time period?
What?
So, what he did between first victim and second victim was he hopped on a plane to Baltimore, which is weird because you can drive from Baltimore to Boston in
I'm going to Google how long it takes. Yeah, hold on. I'll find...
Well, maybe it was a little bit longer because we drove through Jersey.
Oh my God, I'm never going to drive through Jersey again.
I know. I mean, we love our New Jersey listeners, but those toll booths, man, how do you guys afford to live in New Jersey with all the toll booths? I would literally be like, I'm sorry, I can't afford to come to work today because the toll booths.
Yeah. The TN Turnpike means toll booth. Okay, hold on. Oh, well, I can see that. It takes, it takes 6.5 hours drive there. But only an hour and 15 minutes to fly.
Oh.
So, I mean, if I had the cash, I'd fly.
I thought it was a lot closer. Well, anyway, so it was... He hopped on the plane and went to Baltimore instead of driving the 6 hours to visit his grandparents for Passover.
That's logical.
So, how would you do that? I don't know if I could have been in the same room with our grandmothers knowing that I just robbed somebody and that I'm...
Let me tell you.
Thinking that I might murder somebody.
I know at least one of our grandmas would, as soon as you walked in the room, would have known. And she'd have got out of race car track.
Oh, that's true.
For listeners who are like, race car track? What?
Yeah, that's what she used as a belt.
Yeah, those rubber Matchbox car race car tracks. That's what our grandma used to spank us with when we was little. And if you attempted to say anything to her, I mean, she's dead now, but her ghost would probably come and then whip you with a race car track if you think it's bad. Because, she didn't mess around.
But, he didn't really alter his life any. Okay, rob somebody, go visit Granny, come back, go to class, hang out with my fiance, gamble. It's bizarre to me, and that's probably why
it's bizarre also.
He was chaotic.
Because this behavior just seemed to started with him. There didn't really seem to be a pattern leading up to this.
Although he did have those 16 pairs of underwear that did not belong to victims.
True.
So we don't know really what he did and who those belonged to.
but they've not been able to, and I'm sure police look after the fact, trace them to Boston area victims. But he was originally from the New York area, and he was a graduate
Right.
of. He went to school at State University of New York at Albany.
Yeah, because he lived in the upstate, New York area, which, by the way, is gorgeous, and I could totally see myself living there. Not so much New York City, where a hobo peed on our car, but definitely upstate New York.
We don't actually know if a hobo peed on our car, but we will say that we was driving under a overpass and water hit our windshield.
What else could it be?
True.
It wasn't raining. It was July. I mean, not that it can't rain in July, but it wasn't raining.
Well, we'll know if we go back and the same thing happens. If the same thing happens, I'm
No, see, we're not
out.
going back. If we're not going back, because that would put us going through the miles and miles and miles of tolls.
No, I promised Emmy that we would go back to New York at some point.
I mean, it's so, like, I don't know. It's so weird. Like, what would have happened had the police not been so on top of things and able to, I mean, like, okay, what would have happened if Julissa's friend and she were not so on top of trying to be safe?
She was definitely
That
the
they had
utmost
that-
professional about what she did.
Yes, I mean, they had that checks and balance that was absolutely critical in her killer being
And,
found quickly.
ladies, this is one of the reasons why Holly and I stress so much about, having a network. Not, going places alone and making sure that someone knows where you're at. It's important. It can pay off. Her being so on top of things probably saved a lot of other women.
Yeah, because I just think, like, it escalated fast. So unless he's got victims that just didn't want to come forward because they were embarrassed, or he didn't he didn't rob anybody or abuse anybody, and it just immediately started with robbery and then jumped immediately to murder.
Yeah, I mean, the other pairs of underwear could be from consensual casual sex.
Could have been, yes. Although I kind of think that it was probably women who were too scared to come forward.
Escorts.
Because they didn't want to be stigmatized, and they didn't want their names ran through the mud, and they didn't want negative attention. They would rather just take the loss and say, okay, well, I was robbed, I'll just be more safe next time, than actually go to the police. So I absolutely applaud his first victim for coming forward, and the last victim for coming forward too. And absolutely Julissa's friend who stepped up and was able to give phone number and email address 100% saved lives down the road.
Absolutely. I really think that we need to not stigmatize people in the, more adult line of work, because it is really preventing a lot of people from coming forward.
I know. Oh my God, that drives me crazy. I know. Just think of the abuse that we could stop. I mean, not just between the victims and like the Johns, but I mean, look at the pimps we could put out of business if we stopped. Yeah, if we stopped all of the negativity, and we actually put measures in place to protect these women.
Yes, I am.
People are going to pay for sex whether you like it or not. If you don't want to pay for sex, don't pay for sex. If you don't want to charge somebody for sex, don't charge somebody for sex. I don't know why it's any of my business what somebody does for a job.
I'll look at it this way. The true test of whether or not you own something is your ability to sell it.
That's true.
My body is mine. I own it. I should make all of the decisions about my body. And if that means that I want to sell my sexual favors, I should be allowed to. And no one should have the right to tell me that I can't.
That's true.
I mean, I'm not going to, but...
But if you wanted to, you should have that option.
Yes. And I really think that if we legalized it and made it safer for women and men, it'd be better.
That's true, because it's not just women. I don't know. I'm not going to get on that soapbox, so... Or this episode will go on forever.
Craigslist can be just a dangerous place in general. Some estimates have said that there have been over 101 murders linked to Craigslist.
Damn.
I know in a couple cases women have been lured to places under the guise of buying baby items and then murdered. In 2009, Michael John Anderson was convicted of killing Catherine Ann Olson, a nanny who found all of her jobs on Craigslist. FYI, Holly's actually a licensed nanny.
I am. I have never actually nannied per se, but I am a credentialed professional nanny by the American Academy of Professional Nannies or something like that.
Yeah. Anderson claimed that he was not the one who murdered her, but that a friend of his murdered her because he thought it would be funny. He lured her to his house under the guise of a job, killed her, and then stuffed her body in the trunk of her car.
I'm not really for sure why that would be funny.
I'm not either.
I mean, it's kind of like that shirt design that the girls didn't think was funny.
Everyone else does.
And everybody else does. So maybe I'm just not getting it.
Yeah. In 2001, a California man by the name of Michael Delgado was arrested after he found a maid on Craigslist, and when she got to his house to clean, he raped her for over an hour.
Damn it.
There's a lot more. Somebody in Craigslist in Tulsa a few years ago actually posted in Craigslist Personals, and his ad said, "I was wanting to thank Tulsa for letting me have my first kill. It all started here, so I was thinking it should be also my first. I was nervous as hell, but I will get over it. It was a stranger on stranger, so the police will have a difficult time. It will not be my last, though. Thinking about going to OKC, Oklahoma City, for the next. To the people who started it all, Julie Free, DOC, Judge Glasgow." The post has since disappeared from Craigslist. He probably deleted it. To my knowledge, the Tulsa police are still investigating it, and they think that it might have been a prank, but they're not 100% sure.
I hope so. But, I mean, how often do we say that there are a lot of serial killers out there?
Yes, a lot.
They just haven't been linked as a serial killer yet.
I think it's like 50, on average there's 50 at any given time.
Yeah, so, I mean, who knows? He may be.
Got into an interesting discussion today about the differences between a spree killer, a mass murderer, and a serial killer. To which somebody responded, why are you even drawing distinctions? It shouldn't even matter. And I really wanted to say, oh my God, you're such an idiot. You have to have parameters for analysis. But I didn't, because, he's not smart enough to comprehend things like that.
I'm going to assume it's somebody in our hometown was calling Joe a mass murderer.
It is somebody from our hometown, and it is somebody who works at the federal prison. But I don't think it's somebody you know.
Oh, I think I know who it is. Oh,
I don't think so. It is not our cousin.
Well, no, I didn't think so, because he's smart enough to know the difference. And he knows that I'd kick his butt if he didn't know.
Yeah. So I guess, speaking of mass murderers, serial killers, our stupid criminals today goes hand in hand with what's been going on in the world, well, in the United States recently.
The Olympics?
School shootings. No, but I don't know if other states have experienced this, but since the Florida school shooting, Kentucky has had a wave of teenage kids posting on social media claiming they're going to do copycat killings at their schools.
We actually had at our middle school, we had somebody write it on the bathroom or something like that.
Well, I
think that's how it went down.
Today there was
ridiculous.
There was some talk about it at our local middle school. Cops came in and investigated it, and when they found that it was completely unfounded, our superintendent just decided, well, hey, law enforcement's already here. Let's do a drill. So they did a drill. Very smart idea.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so our stupid criminal is all of these kids who are posting on social media saying that they're going to do a copycat. It's not funny.
And 2 were arrested.
It's not a joke.
2 were arrested about an hour from my house, posting on Facebook that the same thing was going to happen to their school.
Yeah, you are screwing up your whole future.
Oh, absolutely.
By doing
a few
this.
years ago, actually, it's probably a little bit more than a few years ago, but we'll say several years ago, a girl that went to school with Hannah. Okay, and this can be a stupid criminal too. Their high school was in walking distance to the public library. You had to walk. It's probably maybe half a mile, something like that. But you have to go up a hill. Anyway, so she did not make the tennis team, the volleyball team, something like that. I kind of want to say it was the tennis team. So she didn't make a team that she had tried out for. So her response to not getting what she wanted was to leave school in the middle of the day, walk to the public library, email in a bomb threat using her fucking school email address.
Yeah.
So, obviously, by the time she walked back to the school, I mean, granted, give her credit, she knew that she emailed it from the school that she would have been found. But, honey, for the love of God, use a different email address. And she had no intention of blowing anything up. Like, there was...
I mean, you can get Google email addresses for free. Yeah. And you can sign up for one in minutes.
There was... I don't know why we're telling people how to commit crimes. But there was never any actual threat. She never had any intention of doing it. She was just mad. And was throwing a tantrum. And she went to jail. Because... that's illegal. And she ruined her life because she was throwing a tantrum.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was in middle school, my town's middle school is right next door to the high school. And
it was so new at the time that I didn't even get to go to middle school.
I was in band, so we didn't have a band room. We had to walk across the parking lot to the high school for band every day. No, that's actually besides the point. But I'm just saying how close we were. 1 year, it seemed like every day for like 2 months, a bomb threat would get called into the school. And when a bomb threat would get called into the school, everybody in the school would have to evacuate to the football field and sit there until law enforcement and the fire department cleared the school.
Right.
I mean, and this was like 3 times a week sometimes or more. And it turned out that it was a student calling in bomb threats from the payphone directly across the hall from the principal's office.
Hysterical.
Yes, and they were doing it not because they wanted to blow up the school.
They just wanted to get out of class.
They wanted to get out of class and go hang out at the football field.
Isn't that when the
payphones
got pulled out?
Yes, they eventually got put back in because this was pre-cell phone days. But yeah, so our stupid criminals this week is all of these kids who think it's cool or fun to get on social media and try to scare up their high school for a day off.
And I do not understand this, because if it's anything like our area, videos of those poor terrified kids is circulating on Facebook like crazy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm literally terrified that my nieces are in school. Because something like that could happen anywhere.
It could, but I'm not worried. Like, I really feel like our school is safe, and I feel like my kids are fine.
Well, I just look at it this way. Abby's band room is a very secure location. So, I mean, and she spends most of her day in there. But, I mean, I still worry about them. I worry about all kids. And I really just think that all of these kids who are calling in, not calling in, all these kids who are posting on social media because they think it's cute or funny or it's going to get them a day off school need to be beat with a race car track. I mean, what is going through your minds?
Nothing. They're really just focused on getting out of school. They just don't care.
Yeah, Abby is so focused on getting out of school that she got the flu. Get the flu instead.
Yeah. Her doctor's excuse is kind of a blanket excuse. It says she can go back when she's been fever free for 24 hours without Motrin, and she was like, I think I'm gonna have a fever until like 2 weeks before school is out. I laughed and was like, nice try, babe. It's not happening.
Okay. So I have another super criminal that has nothing to do with school shootings.
Okay.
But it is from Florida. Wellington, Florida resident Stephanie Roque, 30, fresh out of rehab for an alcohol addiction.
Okay.
When she got pulled over.
For drinking?
Well, when she rolled down the window, the officer immediately smelled alcohol. So he's like, okay, she's going to go to jail. Driving under the influence. She then told the officer that she had just got out of rehab that day and picked up her child. The toddler was in the back seat in a car seat, and there was a 12-pack of beer sitting on the floor at the child's feet. So, congratulations, Stephanie. You're our stupid criminal of the
And
week.
we have lots of stupid criminals this week.
We do. So, I had a very adventurous weekend.
I did not.
No. You did not, because you were a homebody.
As always.
No, Friday evening, one of my aunts called me and asked if I would drive her to Dayton, Ohio, which is several hours away from here. She doesn't like driving in cities. One of her cousins is in the hospital, and it's not looking good for him. So I drove her up there, and while we were in Dayton, she decided that, hey, she's a paranormal investigator. She's like, let's hit some, haunted spots and see what we can see. So we went to the Woodland Cemetery, and completely unbeknownst to me, we stumbled across, Orville and Wilbur Wright's graves. I knew they were from Dayton, but I didn't know they were buried there. There's several ghosts from Woodlawn. There's supposed to be a glowing grave and a girl wearing white blue jeans that'll talk to you, and 2 ghost dogs. I did not see the ghost dogs, or I would have played with them.
I never get to see any ghost dogs, and it always makes me sad.
And then we went to the Witch's Tower, which is near one of the parks in Dayton. But sadly, you can't get up to it. It's boarded off, and there is no parking anywhere near it.
Damn.
Lame. But I took pictures, and I posted a video of my Dayton adventures on YouTube. And then, on the way home, Sunday evening, she decided that we'd stop over in Middletown, Ohio, and see one of the houses that they used to live in when she was little. It was also a very active haunted house, probably demonic. At one time, the house was used, I think, as a mortuary.
Really?
Yeah. When they moved in the attic, they found boxes and boxes of pictures of, like, dead bodies and stuff.
Like laid out, or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and some of them being autopsied and things like that.
Ew.
Yeah.
So it's like the very own Haunting in Connecticut house, only it's haunting in Ohio.
Yeah. And, I mean, this was the house that something grabbed our grandma by her hair. She always wore her hair in a bun at the top of her head.
Me too.
Grabbed her by that and drug her through 3 different rooms. Something also threw their dog in front of grandma. She was watching it. Threw their dog out a 2nd story window.
You know what? That would be it for me. Like, no, I wouldn't leave. I would be like, okay, throwing down with you now.
Yeah. But they also for a time lived out in the Trenton area. And so while we were there, my Uncle Joe called and he was like, well, since you're in the area, why don't you go to that grade school that me and mine and Holly's dad, Jerry, and Kaz went to for a while. They were there like mid-50s. So Sharon was like, okay, sure, we're not that far away from it. So we drive out there, and we're walking around the outside of the school, and Sharon notices that there's a car parked on the side of the building. And she walks up to that door that the car's parked at, and it says, ring bell. So she rang the bell. Because, that's just how crazy Aunt Sharon is.
Well, it says ring bell.
Yeah. The owner of the building comes to the door. And she explains, she's like, hey, we're in town visiting, sightseeing. And my brothers, 2 of whom have passed away, went to school here for a while. Do you mind if we walk around and, check things out? And the owner, super awesome guy, was like, sure. So we got to, walk through the grade school that our dad went to. Well, that my dad went to. You remember him talking about how one of the grade schools he went to had a little fat chubby Indian painted on the wall in the gymnasium? This was the building.
Oh, that's cool.
I walked into the gym, and there the little fat chubby Indian was on the wall. Yeah. But like right off the bat, first room we went into, the cafeteria, I saw a ghost.
That's cool.
And it just got better as we toured the building. Eventually, one of their official tour guides came out and walked around with us. And apparently, they rent the place out for investigations and things like that. And I really think everyone should go. I'm going to drag Holly back. I had so much fun. One of the ghosts in the building they were talking about, after we left, I called my Uncle Joe and was like, hey, do you remember this little girl? And he was like, oh yeah, we were so mean to her.
This is why you don't bully people. You get Carrie.
Yeah. So, awesome time. I'm going to post a video of my walk through the school soon. I think you all will really enjoy it. And hopefully, Holly and I can put together a trip there, and maybe we'll invite some listeners along with us.
That'd be good.
Yeah. If you just want to donate to keep the building open, I mean, I'm sure the guy would really appreciate that too. He said that it costs $2,400 a month for the building. You know, electricity and heat and all that. But I had so much fun. And, yeah. Totally was not expecting to be able to go into the building. I was just expecting to take pictures from the outside. But, a lot of fun. You all need to, just watch for that video to hit our YouTube channel. You won't be disappointed.
And we actually also have another video that will be up shortly, too. It's the making dowsing rods.
Awesome! And then we need to get together and film a few more videos soon.
Yes, we do.
If you all have any suggestions about what you'd like to see on our YouTube channel, send me an email at hauntedfamilypodcast@gmail.com. And I will put that on our schedule for YouTube.
Great.
Holly is not as enthusiastic about YouTube as I am.
Well, I mean, I guess I kind of am. I mean, like, Emmy and I have been thinking about doing a YouTube channel that goes along with kind of the blog, but I'm just not crazy about, I don't know,
being on camera.
Yeah, because I can't wear sweatpants and I have to put a bra on, and my hair looks weird if I don't take it down, and all those adulting things that I don't want to do.
Okay, so I think that wraps up our episode for tonight.
All right.
In a little Podbean news, the Voynich manuscript has been killing it the last month.
Good.
And it is currently our number 1 download, followed by Ted Bundy and Haunted University and Where Is That University?
That's really weird because my blog of the same title has gotten tons of traffic in the last 2 weeks. So I'm wondering what's happening on campus that's being searched so much.
Oh no, that's weird.
Yeah, it is, because it's not just like local. It's not like a local address either. I don't know, but something's up. Anyway, as always, if you want a podcast and for a place to host it, we highly recommend Podbean. For the same reasons we tell you every week. You absolutely cannot beat the analytics. You can't beat the fact that we've got a website that's fully integrated to YouTube. You just cannot beat the customer service. You can't beat the fact that we don't have to pay anything extra if we go over an hour long episode. I mean, it's just Podbean is everything that we wanted in a host site because we didn't have it in our previous host site. They're just perfect and so easy to use.
Yeah, like I just pulled up the information on what states download us the most, and I can tell you that while Connecticut is still our number one, Texas is gaining on them fast.
We do. We visited San Antonio.
We love the Lone Star State.
1991, and I didn't want to come
forever
back.
ago. Yep. If you email us, I'm 99.9% of the time the one who's going to respond to you. I handle the email and YouTube, and Holly handles...
Yeah, pretty much anything social media, Heather handles it.
On Twitter, we are at Haunted Family.
Yeah.
So I handle social media and YouTube, and Holly handles the podcast and editing.
Yeah, and we both sometimes do Facebook.
Well, I mean, we both do Instagram, though.
Anyway, started a Instagram for the dog, and it is princess.leia.mck. And I'm telling you, this dog has gotten more followers in the last week when I started it than I have. I'm just like, she is a cutie.
She's cutie. Well, we have a awesome episode for next week. So until next week, stay safe, especially if you're going to be on Craigslist. Tell somebody where you're going.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
No, thanks for listening. Bye.